When did you get involved in the business?
Freshman year of college.
Okay.
Freshman year of college, I was in an art class. And I was already working, and I got a PO, and that PO would profit me more than what the tuition was for the year. So I was like, I'm in this art class. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I'm seeing this fucking order come in. I was like, I called my dad. I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to work, big dog. And then that's when I left, and my dad's like, yeah, you want to come to work? All right, you're going north every day. I was like, perfect.
Say less.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, it's better than sitting in that art class.
So I went north every day for 3 years. Immokalee, South Bay, Clewiston, Belglade, Moorhaven, LaBelle.
You'd get
Bowling
in the car,
Green,
drive,
and
visit
come
all
back.
those spots, and then come back.
Yeah, most of the time people were like, how old are you? I'm like 20, 21. They're like, get the fuck out of my office. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, yes, sir. And then that's one thing I learned was the how to be polite up north. So it was no after no after no. And then one guy, name is Danny Chapman. He's like, son, sit here. Sit. He's like, grab a chair. He goes, you come here every fucking day, and I tell you no. You have balls. I was like, yes, sir. Thank you. I got, how do you say this? And he goes, listen, I'm buying pallets from this guy. Bring me one load. If this load is better than this guy's, I'll buy a second load from you. And it worked, and that was the first produce guy I ever got. And then from there, it bottomed because they started seeing my pallets coming in. And then all these produce guys are in a little area together, so they all see my pallets coming in. Oh, those they look good. All right, cool. And then that's just how it kept going.
Mr. Mac.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Stay Tranquilo Podcast. We're here with Christian Lesteiro at Tropical Pallets.
Yep.
As you can see, there are a lot of pallets around here. So this is going to be an interesting one. It's different, you know. We do like highlighting a lot of business owners and kind of like industry leaders, but never have I ever done something like this. So I'm going to ask a ton of questions just because I honestly am not very familiar with the space. I know pallets are essential to pretty much everything in the import-export business. So definitely want to get into a lot of that. But before we get into that, if you can just introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Christian Lesteiro.
Let them know.
I went to Columbus with Andre, 2013. Yeah, 11 years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
Been doing this for about 10 years. That's pretty much it. Family-owned business. We've been here for 40 years. Hispanic-owned.
Nice.
And yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
So you said family-owned business, so your dad started the business 40
My
years
dad
ago.
and my grandfather.
And your grandfather.
Yeah, they
Okay.
did it together. It's a crazy story, but moral of the story is they did a favor for another guy that was local. And my dad was a truck driver with my grandfather. They were moving quarry rocks in Miami in the Medley area.
Mm-hmm.
And one day this guy called my dad. He lived down the street. And he's like, hey, I needed you to take a load to Tropicana. My dad's like, yeah, sure, whatever. First load, whatever. My dad takes it over there. The guy from Tropicana is like, man, I hate your boss. My dad's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I hate your boss. And the guy was from Costa Rica. My dad lived in Costa Rica for a year. And when he was like, whatever, they started having a good relationship. And the next thing you know, the guy's like, here's X amount of money. Start your own pallet company. And that's how that story started.
Holy shit. So the guy that your dad was delivering to basically gave him cash to start.
Yeah, Tropicana gave my dad cash.
Oh, it's Tropicana.
Yeah. And then that's how that story started. And then we were doing business with Tropicana till think 2005.
And what was your grandfather doing at the time?
He was still doing the Quarry Rock stuff, and then my dad's like, "Yo, get over
let's
here!
come over
I
here."
need help," and that's how they kept going. And my grandfather passed away in 2015. Yeah, 2015, and then it's been me and my dad ever since.
That's crazy. So when Tropicana gives your dad this money, did he have any experience in
With
this
trucks,
world?
he did. With trucks, he did. Pallets, no clue. The guy is like, "Here's a sample, copy it, go," and we need all of your inventory, and that worked. It worked for him.
That's crazy.
So at that time, Tropicana was probably one of the biggest pallet purchasers in the country. And then little by little, once that crop from Florida got infected, then they started importing oranges, and then that was game over from there.
Damn.
So yeah, Tropicana is now the biggest importer of oranges in the world.
And where do they get their oranges from?
I've heard Brazil.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Brazil,
But I heard something the other day that oranges here in the state of Florida
it's still a thing.
But they're having a problem with that.
Yeah, because it's infected. All that
Okay,
land's infected
yeah.
from way back in the day. Even that area of Immokalee, North Florida, Central Florida, all that land's gotten turned over so many times now that it's starting to get infected with all that toxins that we throw into it. And that's the main problem that's happening in Florida now.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where the vegetables, I tell people all the time, don't buy from Florida. I can't say that, but don't buy it from Florida because it's so toxic.
Gotcha.
All those stuff is so bad for you because they're spraying all hours of the day.
Yeah.
And then now what's happened is all of those infections that have gone through it. My dad's in the background there just eating shit.
He's lurking.
Yeah, he's lurking. He's always fucking lurking. But yeah, but that's why when we say, organic, it's really organic.
Got you.
So when people say it, it's because there's a reason behind it.
Okay.
They have to pass certain inspections. They have to do certain things with the FDA and all that stuff.
Damn. Okay.
So
what year was it when you guys started here?
84.
84.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, you guys have multiple locations. You were telling me, right?
Yep.
And the business has really kind of
Yeah,
evolved.
we did Doral in 2002. We had Miami Gardens open up in 2005, but that's an inventory station. And then we just purchased now a land in Clewiston, and that's probably down the road, but the next project now. They're doing now over there on airport station, where they're building warehouses, kind of like what we have here in Miami.
Okay.
That area, and then that's what they're going to do over there, which is the next growth. And our idea was to go nationwide with it.
Okay. So I want to get into like the overall process of what, kind of like what a day-to-day looks like here, right?
Day to day.
You like where the hell do these pallets come from,
Okay.
right? And then we can just kind of go down the evolution from there.
All right, so think of distribution centers, big box stores. They have these sites, off-site, different across the world. They receive product. That product goes to their stores. Once that pallet is empty, it goes back to the distribution center where we grab them.
Okay.
That we will now repair it, grade it, and then sell it to whoever's selling it to them. So it's a big circle. Think of it as this cup. I bought it from Publix. I sell to Solo Cup. I don't, but I sell to Solo Cup. Solo Cup sells it to Publix. I pick it up from Publix, and it just keeps going in circles.
And when you pick it up from, for example, a Publix, right? Are they just giving it to you?
No, that's all contractual.
Yeah, okay.
Everything that we do
Gotcha.
here is one of the big things that I changed was we're not seasonal anymore. We're not the flower companies anymore. We're all year round. And that was one of the big changes that we had to implement early on because it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed business all year round. It's guaranteed pallets coming in, which then you can guarantee to your customers. You guarantee inventory, that's gold in what we do.
Right.
So if you can guarantee X amount of pallets for X amount of time, now you can create a budget behind that. You can create a plan behind that. And that's what customers wanted. And then you start building relationships on that. And I'm sweating profusely. Holy fuck.
When you're in the warehouses, we're right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
But you brought up something there that I think is interesting, right? You said that having like that consistency with the with the distributors and with all the products that you work with. Did you guys see that there was an opportunity where like these distribution companies were having a problem finding the pallets so that
they were never the problem. The problem was where our industry lacked was trust and respect. There's a lot of mom and pop companies in the country that were like, yeah, we're on the way. We're on the way with your load. Load never shows up. And the lies in this industry were a lot. So where I came in, my dad doesn't speak a lot of English. So my dad's like, go north. I was like, all right. Started going north, and then they actually started trusting me. And then next thing you know, all right, year after year, we're starting to grow. And then that's where we started booming. And then when COVID hit, that's when we really boomed.
Right.
And a lot of industries boomed, but it was our industry started to see the light. And the light was okay, if you do things right and you have people that trust you, and then my employees trust us, and then that's when it starts having the domino effect that it did.
Do you think that the other mom and pop shops that were doing this, and their reason that they weren't able to build that trust was just because they couldn't match the inventory? So they would almost like promise like, hey, we'll get these pallets to you, but then all of a sudden they're like, shit, we didn't get the pallets, so I can't.
Well, that was one of the problems.
Fulfill it.
That's one of the problems. Doing contracts, now you're having guaranteed pallets
Exactly.
coming in.
Okay.
When you have guaranteed pallets coming in, it opens up all kinds of doors. So then you can go after companies that say, hey, I'm going to buy 1,000 pallets from you, guarantee it. Most of the people can't. We could. And that's when we started shedding that light. And then now you start guaranteeing things. Guaranteeing a price for a year in this industry is big.
Yeah.
Because now a company can budget. All right, I'm going to spend $1,000 on a pallet. Great. That's fine. We can budget for that. If it was so variable for such a long time that people didn't know.
And how were you able to get those relationships with like the Publixes of the world to get those contracts?
So the trust again, just, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Regardless of price, this is what we have sold. And then just basically you front
Like a
loaded.
swap almost.
Exactly. It was a swap. It was a front loading on, hey, we have this already sold. We're going to do it this
Yeah,
way.
because they know that you have the relationships with, you know, the larger brands that they're selling their products in.
Correct.
So if
And then
you're the
the-
one
and then
that's
they
able to
start talking.
facilitate it, exactly.
And that was when it really started, like, I'm not going to say who, but
Right.
a lot of these companies were started talking, hey, we're doing it with them. Oh, wait, we're doing it with them. Oh, it's working.
It's the snowball
So
effect.
exactly, and we kept our margins fair during COVID. So then we showed that trust back to the clients, and then when that started happening, then that's when it really started kicking down, and it was very, very, very stressful. But it was it needed to happen.
Yeah.
It needed to happen, and we're grateful it did.
And so I want to go back into like from the, I guess like seat to sales, like what they say, right? So when you get these some of these things are beat up, right?
Yeah,
and
these we
then
called
you have your guys basically
Yeah.
bringing them back to life.
Correct. So these are called cores, right there.
What are they
those
called?
are cores.
Okay.
Like core mines, but cores, and the guys come in the morning, they repair, sort. The sorting part is a hard part. The sorting part, there's such thin differentials that anybody can make a mistake. So then we have two guys quality checking that, and then once that goes, then it goes out the door.
And what does quality check look like?
Intense.
Yeah.
Intense stuff, because at the end of the day, they're working on production. Anytime you have X amount of people working on a production line, adrenaline's involved. And then you go back into the sports of it. So it's you have to deal with now people working on adrenaline and people working on salaries. So it's literally a clashing of two heads. And I'm in the middle. So it's sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes it's interesting.
crazy.
It gets pretty intense here, but moral of the story is we're not anything without them.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
vice versa. And they know that, the guys outside know that, and the guys inside know that. So it's all about trust.
And so how many guys do you guys employ right now?
In
now?
total, we have 52 heads.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. So they're fixing, then basically placing onto the side where
We're quality checking.
they're quality checking. Once they get quality checked, then they're ready to go. And then
Yep.
you guys are not loading any product on the pallets.
No,
too?
we're just empty pallets. People call here all the time. Do you guys sell pallets of clothes? Nope, we do not.
Yeah.
But we're
'Cause
not
that's
like
a
that.
whole other
That's
monster.
a whole nother industry that I don't want to get involved in.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what we do. And then there's the specialty pallets. There's the heat treating of pallets. There's so many different things that go into that outside of the normal stuff that we already do. And then there's the logistics part of it, which is another head on its own, because
The
you gotta,
truck drivers, do you outsource that, or is that through?
So from Miami to Orlando, we do it on our own trucks.
Okay.
And then outside, anything that I can do outside of the 10-hour range for a driver, I'll outsource.
Yeah. So that your dad obviously was a big catalyst for the business and kind of growing it from the ground up, and that's a crazy story how it all kind of unfolded.
No, I give him credit to do what he's
No,
to do
100%.
what he's been able to do
But that's what
without
you see-
speaking English,
That's which is crazy.
which is wild to me, because I've gone to these places and I'll ask him, I'm like, you guys actually have spoken? And like the real words were actually spoken? And he just starts laughing. He goes, yeah, I just put a price on the business card, gave it to him, and left.
That's
And I was like,
hilarious.
for whatever fucking worked for you, man.
If
But
it works, it works.
I to this day, I go, I don't know how you did it.
But it's a common thing with usually these family-owned businesses, right? You know, a parent, a grandparent kind of is the inception of it, but it comes to the next generation to really kind of take it to that next
Yeah,
level.
where my dad was good at was the selling part of it. Where my grandfather was an OG was the production side of it. And I got more of my grandfather's side than my dad's side. The selling part, I'm not outgoing as much as my dad is. Fuck, my dad could talk to a pole for fucking
Gotcha.
9 hours. But the production side of it, the brute of it, I learned from my grandfather. And my grandfather You look like Kevin Costner from Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Exactly like that motherfucker. My grandfather would be like, yeah, you guys want to fight? All right, finish up. We're fighting outside after. And he was like that. Nobody would ever do it to him.
Of course, yeah.
But we were like, you get scared. And bro, he was just like that. That guy would open on Christmas. Wouldn't do anything, but he just wanted to know that the gates were open on Christmas Day because nobody was opening on Christmas Day. I was like, you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
You're not well. But he was just one of one.
You guys are Cuban, right?
Yeah. My dad and my grandfather, they had to move to Costa. I'm gonna botch this story because every time I hear it, I fuck it up. But they moved from Cuba to Costa Rica to Jersey. They spent one winter in Jersey, like fuck this, and they came down here. Maybe wrong, but what I have understood of that. But
do you know why Costa Rica at that time?
I don't know exactly. I think at that time there was asylum over there for them.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I don't know, but then I know my grandmother's sister brought them from Costa Rica to Jersey. And then they're like, no.
Yeah, no shot on
this
doing
is
this.
not it.
I've lived in the warmth my whole life, and then
I wouldn't be able to do it. You tell me to move to Jersey right now, I'd be like, you go fight the biggest fucking kite. I'm not gonna do it.
My mom. So my grandma, same thing. She didn't go to Costa Rica first, but they went to New York.
A lot of people went from Costa Rica or Spain.
I forget what it's called.
Peter Pan?
Was called. What was that?
It wasn't Peter Pan, no?
Well, Peter Pan was the initiative, but there was something in New York. I can't remember the name of it right now. Which was like the big immigration hub. Something along those lines, yeah. But that's where all the immigration was going on at the time. So that's where you kind of had to go to kind of plug yourself in, and then from there you can kind of make that decision. Yeah. But my grandparents lasted, I think, like 10 years there, and then same thing. They came.
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't wish the cold on my worst enemy right now. Especially like knowing what I know now to work or go to school or do any normal day to day in the snow. I'm like,
When did you get involved in the business?
Freshman year of college. Freshman year of college, I was in an art class. And I was already working, and I got a PO, and that PO would profit me more than what the tuition was for the year. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I have nothing bad to talk about college, but in my opinion, entrepreneurship should be, you're not going to learn, you'll learn a lot, but you're not going to learn most of it.
I agree.
In school. So I was like, I'm in this art class, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I'm seeing this fucking order come in, and I was like, I called my dad. I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to work, big dog. And then that's when I left, and my dad's like, yeah, you want to come to work? All right, you're going north every day. I was like, perfect.
Say less.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, it's better than sitting in that art class.
So I went north every day for 3 years. And
how, like, when you say north, like, where were you going?
Immokalee, South Bay, Clewiston, Belglade, Moorhaven, LaBelle, Lakeland, Bartow. Man, any
you'd get in the car, drive and visit all those spots, and then come back.
Yeah, most of the time people were like, how old are you? Like 20, 21. They're like, get the fuck out of my office. I was like, okay,
yeah.
All right, yes, sir. And then that's one thing I learned was the how to be polite up north. And that's a different breed on its own. Mm-hmm. It's the yes, sir, don't look at their faces.
True.
Like, you got to like know how to maneuver that. And then after a year of just getting no's, it was no after no after no. And then one guy, name is Danny Chapman. He's like, son, sit here, sit. He's like, grab a chair. He goes, you come here every fucking day, and I tell you no. You have balls. I was like, yes, sir. Thank you. How do you say this? And he goes, listen, I'm buying pallets from this guy. Bring me one load. If this load is better than this guy's, I'll buy a second load from you. And then this was in February. This is the beginning of the produce season, vegetables. If you do good by these first two loads, then I'll keep buying from you. I was like, okay. He goes, pricing is important. I was like, where do I need to be? And he's like, I can't tell you that. You got to figure it out. I was like, fucking shit. All right, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
So I started doing like in the entire 3-hour car ride back, I'm doing math in my head. I'm like, all right, where do I got to be? Where do I think these people? And I started calling everybody like that I knew already. I'm like, where are these people at market-wise? And they're like, at this price. I was like, I'm just going to shoot from the hip here and let's go. And it worked, and that was the first produce guy I ever got. And then from there, it bottomed because they started seeing my pallets coming in. And then all these produce guys are in a little area together, so they all see my pallets coming in. Oh, they look good. All right, cool. And that's just how it kept going.
And the quality of the pallets obviously is extremely important because why? Was something that was happening with other pallets where they were like breaking, and then the investment that you put in on like.
So if you notice, most of our pallets are inside. Most of the pallet companies in the country have their pallets outside.
Gotcha.
So they get weathered. We have it as well, but
Of
we
course.
rotate them. So
Yeah.
like we have a certain period of time. There's a certain amount of days that we have to then circulate.
Got it.
And then once they circulate, then out they go. But
Got
it
it.
was that little math that it took us about 3 years to fine tune, and we have to have it out exactly for 47 days. Exactly 47. 48th
47
day, it's too much. If it goes into rain schedules and all that
How
stuff.
did you guys figure out that timeline?
On the 48th day, mold started creating.
Just
It's
like
as
that.
simple as
So
that.
you're
On
like,
the
all right, on
48th
day
day,
48, this shit keeps breaking.
So
like,
if
it's
after
not
a
gonna
certain
work.
amount of inches of rain, it varies the days. But on average, it's either 46.2 to 47.4, something like that.
And do you have an effect? Like obviously being in Miami, there's a ton of humidity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But we have like our seasonal changes, like rainy summers, right?
So now is a good time, which is why we start stocking up now.
Okay.
I mean, we're about 2 weeks away from the start of produce season in South Florida. So once we start down here, then I'll bring down everything from the 441 site, and then we just keep going north from there.
Okay.
That's just a big ass
That's
fucking.
crazy.
It's a big ass cycle.
It's insane.
It's a big ass cycle. Is what it is.
So kind of going back to your grandfather and your dad, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned from them? One, on the business side, but two, also like just like on the personal side.
The personal side, my grandfather showed me just fucking work, dog. Nobody gives a flying fuck about you. Nobody gives a shit what you have to say. Just head down and work. And everybody can base their opinion on you. That's fine.
Yeah.
My dad's side is work harder than everybody else, but work intelligently. My grandfather was just brute, just fucking
Just go.
get
Yeah.
at it. My dad was like, working fine, but think while you're doing it.
Right.
And so it was just a hybrid of both. And then my dad was very, very, very good of just being a chameleon with everybody, just getting along with everybody. He still does. Like I can fucking.
It's a great skill, man.
Yeah, he could talk to a fucking cat if he wants to.
Yeah.
He could sit there and was like talking to the cat for fucking hours. But where he was really good at was talking to people in the flower industry, talking to people in the produce industry in South Florida, just normal business owners, and then building a relationship on that. That's where he's at his best. So just hearing those conversations over a period of time, and then hearing my grandfather talk to the employees for a period of time, it was like, how do you guys work together is what I've always said. Like, how do you guys work together? And they're like, fucking works. Like, what do you want it to be? And then that's when I've learned that just keep going. Just keep going. And that's.
Do you think your dad just like I'm sure at one point he had to think like, do I try to learn English a little bit better? Because there's the other side of it.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that he hasn't tried. He has.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, in Miami,
right, you can get exactly.
you get away with murder.
Yeah.
You get away with murder down here if you speak Spanish. So like
Exactly.
everybody in South Florida was speaking Spanish.
Especially in this industry, in this space.
Correct. So it's really where he struggled was in Central Florida, building a relationship in Central Florida for a longer period of time. Yeah, he could do a quick deal here and there,
Yeah.
but
And that's
it
where
wasn't
you
the
came
solution.
into the
And that's
picture,
where I came
basically.
in, and that's where I really took over. And I don't think he stepped foot in Lakeland ever since. But he definitely trusts me when it comes down to building those relationships. He knows that. Perfecto. Okay. And then you got to deal with shit like that.
Exactly. I was gonna say that's standard operating procedure.
That's standard,
right there.
bro. Shit here in Miami, you can get those fucking
So
psychopaths.
that's actually a good kind of segue into that. What is it like dealing like with that? Because
Bro, patience, dude.
Bro, you know
Patience.
when you're working in Miami, like how can I put this like the most politically correct way? Like you're dealing with
Craziness. It's madness.
you're dealing with a certain standard of quality of people. How the hell is that like?
I actually said this example the other day. Imagine a Columbus teacher. I was telling my nephew. I go, imagine a Columbus teacher having to deal with 30 kids
That's
in
a
class.
great way to put it, bro.
Same exact shit.
That's a great way to put it.
Same exact way. You got to have the patience. You got to have like a second layer of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
That's another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But the patience, they test me, buddy. That's his second day he got into a car accident today.
No.
Yeah.
And he's laughing.
It wasn't his fault. It wasn't
Right.
his fault. But like still, like
It's just shit that you got to deal
he
with.
calls me. He's like, "Hey, do an accidente." Hangs up. I was like, "Dude, seriously?" And I had to
No
thank God
context,
I thank
nothing.
God I have cameras and GPS on the trucks. I was like, "Is this guy psycho? It's just psychopaths." There's
It's one of
the
one.
shit that you hear,
yeah.
bro. The shit that like I tell people all the time. The shit that I hear here, man, I can build anything after this because, dude, you can sit here and just piss yourself in my office for
Oh, I
half
can
a day
imagine.
because just the phone calls is hilarious. All my friends that hear me on the phone, they're like, "That's not well."
Insanity.
And then the 250 phone calls that we get in a day, but outside of that, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But
The last thing I kind of want to ask you, and then we can get into some other. I want to get into a little bit of Columbus talk, but where do you see like yourself after this? Obviously, you've been working. Do you see yourself for the next 10, 15 years, like continuing to develop this business, or do you see?
I've always said that when I start having kids, I'll probably take not a backseat, but slow down a little bit.
Right.
And I'm not saying I just want to be a parent that's going to be present, and that was important to me because that was the one thing not saying my dad did what he could.
Of course, right?
But
yeah.
you know, I want to be present for when my kids have baseball practice or when they have a game or whatever. And that was one of the things that, unfortunately, if I wanted to grow continuously, then you go into the part where I'm going to bring in partners into it.
Okay.
If I'm going to build a place in the middle of the United States, I'm not going to be traveling in the middle of the United States every fucking day.
Absolutely not.
So it's, building the right people, building relationships, that's now. And then now the next step in my career is, having places outside of Florida. Then you got to have the partnerships. You got to have those relationships now come back and fruition into what you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And then that's where I think we're going to be headed to shortly.
Well, that's exciting then.
I mean, not about the kid part, but we'll see. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, the relationship is what in anything really. And I don't care what you do and what industry you're in, the relationship's important. And that's bare minimum of what you have to do in a business.
No, 100%.
And I can't do anything here without the people that I have. And they trust me and as much as I trust them. And like I tell them, you guys rely on me to be at my best every single day. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not at my best, you guys can't take food home. And that is a bear of bad news if I'm not at my best.
Exactly.
So I carry that.
It trickles down.
Yeah, and I carry that weight on me every single day because I want the best for them. And they know that I want the best for them.
And that's a good point because I feel that.
Yeah.
How do you personally, I guess, like manage that, right? Like you're up there on the top and you know that your employees kind of rally around your energy, the way that everything's kind of going in the business. So how do you kind of manage that?
Bringing them in on decisions. Hey, this is what's going on. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Being real with people, being truthful with your employees is, I think, the most important thing that we can have. Because at the end of the day, if I could just say, I could just walk around here just like, hey, do this, do that, do this, but you're not doing anything. So showing them the right steps, showing them from A to Z is going to allow you to, one, take a step back and keep doing on the other stuff you got to be doing, but it also, puts them entitled to what they want. And I go, you guys work, you guys are going to get paid. If you guys don't work, you're not going to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
So same thing with me. If you guys aren't working, I'm not getting paid either. So
100%.
we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I just putting that trust onto them helped a lot because my dad wasn't like that. My grandfather wasn't like that. They were hard sticklers. Hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. I get here in the morning. Hey, this is your daily responsibilities. Get to it, buddy. And they're like, yep, we got it. And they know why. The why is the important. The why is understanding, okay, we have to do this because of this. So if a truck's not ready on time, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
And the reason is you're being an idiot. So it's just shit like that then if the domino effect. And in this business, the domino effect is large.
Absolutely.
So one mistake from a bandsaw can affect the entire production line for a day. So it's...
What's the biggest shit show that's ever happened?
Shit show was... My birthday is June 29th, and there's the end of watermelon season is July 4th. So at least from Florida and Georgia standpoint. And July, I don't know what day it was, but it was the 27th. I know that. We had loaded 35 trucks in 5 hours. And the line was from this door all the way down to 12th Ave. And that was madness because we had cops out here telling us, hey, you guys can't park here. And we're like, yo, we're going. So I had, it was a shit show. We had 7 trucks loading at one time. It was madness. And then those trucks had to get there 4 days prior to 4th of July. So then they had to load watermelons on it and then back out to the stores before July 4th. Damn. So that is stressful. When you have a PO or in a timeline, it's tough. And those guys aren't organized as we are. So they're like, yeah, we want 20,000 pallets. You have 48 hours. Hold on a second.
Right. Because once it's in the truck, you don't really have much control.
I can't control it. I can't control it. A tire can break. A trailer can pop.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's so many factors that go into it. And all it is being prepared. Yeah. That's all you can do. That's the best you can do.
Exactly.
So like Mr. Linsky, what was his saying? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it was. But
we're actually going to get Linsky on in a couple weeks, and I think that's a good segue into the next topic of conversation. Columbus for 4 years, played baseball 4 years at Columbus. Tell us a little bit of your life at Columbus and what.
Columbus was the first place that told me the reality of life. You suck. Simple. You fucking suck. Simple. I'm like, all right, cool. So I will always be grateful for everybody that I ever dealt with there, from Trujillo to Linsky to Webb. everybody there, I gave them a lot of credit for telling me the truth. I will never, ever bash anybody for telling me the truth, period. And I learned that there. All my entire life, hey, you're good at this. Hey, you're good at that. Hey, great, you're good at this.
Right. All the
You're a
praise,
kid.
all the praise, all
yeah,
the praise.
You're a kid. I mean, granted, I get it. But at Columbus, I take credit because my parents wanted to send me to LaSalle because my sisters went there. And they liked it, whatever. And I was like, no. I went to Columbus and I saw, and Webb always said it, you're not going to be on varsity as a freshman. I was like, and then I went to a game. I was like, I saw Lobo and Javi Salas, and I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. I fully understand now. But I give credit to Webb a lot, and he was the first guy to tell me, fight and work for what you have, and I'll never take away that from anybody.
He did always instill that in everybody.
Yeah, in everybody, and I get it. Like, people don't like hearing the truth. I
Right,
fully
sure.
understand.
Yeah, you're so used to some things just being handed to you on a platter, especially like, especially like grade school, middle school. Like you have maybe a certain level of talent, but the pool's like this fucking big, And the moment you open that up a little bit, and you're like, okay, yeah, like maybe I'm not good at all.
Exactly. So and then you get to the pool of Columbus, which is even smaller than that.
Yeah.
So I will never regret ever telling my parents I don't want to go there. I want to go to Columbus. I will never ever regret that decision because there was a lot of coaches at Columbus. They're like, keep working, keep going, keep going, and they push the right way. And I'll never take that away from them because Columbus did teach me that lesson.
It's true.
You got to fucking work.
That.
You got to fucking work. You got to work your
gotta
fucking
work
ass
for
off.
what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
And I'll never ever take that away from that school.
I look back at those years and I'm like, bro, like, obviously it's private school, right? So it has like that stigma, but like you said, it's not your traditional, just like, here you go, everything's there. It's like, we'll give you the tools to succeed, but you got to figure the shit out, if not, like,
yeah, my nephew's there now.
Gonna come out of
my
it.
nephew's there now. He's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
So like, I get it. Like, and then you get those models and you bring it to business, you bring it to your personal life, and that's great. Really, what we've learned. I mean, yeah, you learn the grades, the school part, and all that stuff. That's fine, but the camaraderie, you don't ever. I don't care where you are. The only people that can actually voice their opinion is Belen. That's it.
Yeah,
and most of our friends are from Belen and vice versa. And as much as shit we talk to them, and they talk to us, at the end of the day, we're the same fucking people. And that pool, that very short pool of people that we have between Belen and Columbus, we all have the same thing in common. We come from a brotherhood, and I don't think anybody can say that it's the same thing.
No, it's not. I mean, you see it. I've brought people into Columbus that have maybe never heard about it, or I've heard about it, but they haven't experienced it. And the moment they see it, they're like, "Yo, this is crazy." Yeah. It's like, one, how do you know everybody? I'm like, dude, this is who it is. This is what they. And when you're at Columbus, you always would hear about it, right?
Correct.
The teachers would talk about it. Alumni would talk about it.
Who was the one that said it? That our freshman orientation, look to your left, look to your right. When you graduate, they're not going to be there. I don't know who said it now, but
yeah,
I'll never forget.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that. And I remember I looked to my left and I looked to my right, and when we graduated, they said it again: look to your left and look to your right. And I was like, holy shit, it's a different person.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, they were right. And there's a reason behind it, and I get it. And like, not everybody's cut out for that, and that's okay.
Exactly.
And whoever it is, more power to you.
And it's crazy. All the people that left Columbus to this day
regret it.
I regret it so much, because they went, whether they went to go chase it for the sports or they chased it for academics, girls, whatever the hell it was.
That's their opinions. But
exactly. Everyone had something that they said, and they wean you out. It's almost like a version of hazing that goes on in the beginning, right? Because they tell you this is what it is. You're either gonna do it or you're not, and if you don't,
get out.
Then by all means. But they breed a certain level of. There's a certain level of excellence for sure, but it's more like it's like Columbus's version of excellence.
You learn to compete. Let's be realistic about it. You learn to compete, and you learn to love to compete. And I come here to work, and I fucking love competing. Yeah. And I'd be like, that's what I said. You take one, I take five. I dare you, because I love to compete. And if I can't take five, you bet your ass I'm gonna get six at least.
Oh yeah.
So that's the way I run it, because I have to be like that. I have to be like that because it's in my blood. And my blood, I don't say it started from middle school. I say it started there. Yeah. My life changed there. Period. And for the better. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't. All my friends all excelled there. So everybody that I see after I graduated have excelled.
Yeah. And you look at, I think 5 Fortune 500 CEOs that came out of Columbus. It's like more than Harvard, more than Yale, more than I don't know what other Ivy League schools. That tells you that you don't necessarily have to be the smartest guy. You don't have to, be the most skilled guy. But if you build this level it's like I think it's more like your personality and just the way that you carry yourself on a day-to-day basis. Like you said, that competitive aspect, that hard work ethic. Those two things alone will just take you so much further than everybody else. You may not be the most skilled. You may not be the most intelligent, but guess what? You're gonna outwork them. You're gonna bridge your relationships, and you're gonna kind of, it's not like finessing, but you're gonna find a way.
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing. Like one door closed. Like how many times did you get rejected when you were first selling, right?
No, and here in Miami, I till this day don't like selling pallets in Miami.
Yeah.
One, the concept of business people have in Central Florida, and it changes everywhere. And it's probably one of the unique parts of what I do is that I see how everybody runs a business differently. I've seen what's failed and I've seen what's succeeded. So I kind of have an idea of when somebody's doing the same decisions that somebody has failed already.
Yeah.
I can see it now from a mile away. And that's something that comes with time, that comes with experiences, and that's okay. And I'm still learning. And I'm the first 100%. One to say, like, prove me wrong. Like I tell people here all the time, prove me wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. Why? I'm going to learn from it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that I have to run this business. So prove me wrong. Like I have it on a whiteboard there. Prove me wrong.
That's dope.
Because I need you to. I want you to. Because that's what's going to make me better. As simple as that. And I learned that from Columbus. Yeah. Prove me wrong, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Fucking I dare you.
It's
because
so true, bro.
The reality is that everybody will come up with an idea that's better than yours. Everybody will.
Or they'll grab your idea, tweak it a little bit away.
Exactly.
That's beneficial to the market or whatever that may be.
This industry is really fucking tough to just tweak anything because it's a fucking pallet. At the end of the day, it's a pallet. Everybody's going to sell a pallet. Everybody can sell a pallet. It's just your trust and your relationship with people. That's what's going to separate you from everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I learned that again from Columbus.
Fuck yeah, Columbus. For people that are listening that may not even know what Columbus is, just look it up because it's become a...
It's bigger now.
It's become like an institution that is like, you can't even recognize it.
I walked in at our 10-year reunion. I walked in. I was like, "What the fuck is this place?" And then now it's even bigger and it's keep growing. And
well, think about it. When we got there, it was Moss Building that was like brand new, and everyone was like, "Holy shit!" Yeah. And here we are, 11 years later, and it's like 3 new buildings, baseball fields, turf, double-story clubhouse now. Because when we were there, it was the one story, and like that was fucking sick.
Yeah, that was, and nobody had a locker room like our locker room. And, like nobody had a field like our. No. Nobody has a field like we have our field.
No. And then it just continues to evolve, and there's plans for it to continue to evolve. So, Columbus will, like you said, forever have like a special place in my heart, and my goal is obviously to send my kids there, assuming that one I can and that I'm here. But it's a great place, and it does instill a certain character.
No, and it's funny because when you see people that are older than us, 10, 15, 20 years older than us, they have their kids that went to Columbus. Yeah. And then you have a conversation with anybody and everybody that went to Columbus. You can be anywhere. You wear a Columbus polo, somebody will catch you.
Dude, I've been in an airport, like in another city, and someone has stopped me.
Yeah. I was in Fort Pierce, Florida, visiting a lettuce farm. And one of their logistics guy went to Columbus. And I go,
that's crazy.
What the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I'm working here. I was like, perfect. And that door opened because of Columbus.
100%.
And I'll never take that for granted. I'll forever and always appreciate what Columbus has done for me specifically.
Absolutely.
And the doors that it's opened. Because it opens more doors than it closes, in my opinion. Yeah. And you can't beat that.
It's a powerful network, and we're both grateful. And he's a Columbus grad too. And I mean, it's a never-ending circle, and you really never know what doors it'll open and what opportunities.
All my best friends went to Columbus. My family members is now going to Columbus. Well, one family member, but even in-laws are going to Columbus or went to Columbus. So that's a unique experience that we all have that one thing in common. And I think that's something that will never. And my wife hates it because she talks about it. She's like, you guys are so annoying. I was like,
I know.
I'm sorry, but
they just don't get it.
Yeah, they don't. But that's fine too. Like there's
no reason for them to get it.
I don't need you guys to get it. But
you can explain it the best you can, and they'll still be like, I still get it.
I'm yet to find somebody that can describe it to a third party best.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm yet to find one. And the way that I say it is, it's a frat house in high school.
Yeah, that's usually how I describe it.
But it's not. But
exactly.
It's I'm yet to find somebody.
That's actually when I get Linsky on the pod. That's a question I'm going to ask him. If you could describe Columbus to someone that has no idea about what Columbus is, how would you describe it?
That is a great question to ask.
He probably would be the perfect person.
That man made me fall in love with World War II history.
Dude, that class is.
I went to Louisiana, and I went to the museum because of him.
Yep.
Just because of him.
No, I didn't give a shit about it.
Me and Brian went to the museum, and we were like little kids, like at the museum.
Because you recognize everything from that class. Like he taught it probably how no other teacher would teach World War II. yet we digested it probably better than anybody.
Better than anybody. I can watch a documentary and I can start spitballing facts, and my wife's like, "That is obnoxious."
Yeah.
I'm like, sucks.
Sit in that class, you would have done the
Yeah,
same
exactly. Like I was literally in Spain a few weeks ago, and I saw a bunker. I was with Brian, and our children came out of us. The Columbus kid came out of us, and we walked to the fucking bunker, and then we started searching. That bunker happened at this time around World War II, and bro, it's just Linsky opened a can of worms with me. I can say that, but I love that place, man. That place is, and every time I go back, you hear a different story, and it's great.
It's one of the best places I think in the United States. But I appreciate you, dude, for putting this together.
Absolutely.
And
thanks for coming by.
Educating me about pallets and hopefully educating more people about it. Like I knew how big of a fucking industry this shit was because it's an essential, part of, like we were saying in the beginning, like
your
import,
food,
export.
everything that we consume on a daily
Exactly,
basis
from shampoos to foods, like you were saying, like everything goes on a pallet. So it's essential, and I appreciate you for
Absolutely. Thanks
doing
for
this.
coming
It
back,
was a good
guys.
time.
Absolutely.